the session. So in this session, firstly, Doctor will take your questions from audience. And in the question, for the question, we will provide consecutive translation. So please make a question sentence by sentence, please. Make interval between the sentences. So for answers, we provide you with simultaneous interpretation. So for listening to the answers in Japanese, please set your headset and listen to channel 1 for Japanese. Okay. So, and actually, in the break time, during the break time, Doctor already got one question from our director, Muzakane. So, firstly, Doctor will you answer?
Thank you, Your Excellency, Director UNFIC. It's so nice to ask this question, like why Nepal needs federalism? Actually, nobody knew that Nepal was going to federal structure. So, 2006 comprehensive peace accord that we signed, the country signed with the rebel, does not have any reference to federal structure. After this accord, there was a movement, political movement in the southern part of Nepal. Ethnically, we call them regional group, they're called Madhesi group, who have been settled in the plain. So they raised this issue that we should have federal structure. There was somehow some political parties based on Madhes, the southern plain, were making some references of federal structure quite long time back when there was the active monarchy with the partyless system. But in 1990, when we got multi-party system, that issue has lost any significance, and nobody was talking that. But somehow it came. And then it was a little bit very violent kind of movement, killings and all. I mean, general people did not participate, but some group participated. So at that time, Nepal was in a very, very fragile situation. It was very weak, very fragile. Government was very big, very fragile, very poor. And then, as I said before, we were totally confused. We lost the ground. We had no power to think because problem everywhere. And then we were in a very traumatic situation. Our situation at that time was like a man who had a typhoid, heavy fever for 1 month, and got the fever lost, and then wake up and standing. So that was a kind of situation for us. So at that point we said, okay, we will sign an agreement. We will go for the federal structure. So that movement, the leaders of that moment, and then political parties signed another small agreement where there was a federal structure. But actually nobody now believes in federal structure. So what now we mean federal structure is some kind of administrative division, a kind of autonomous government, but not federal structure as we understand in Switzerland, Australia, United States. That's already ruled out. So this is therefore a discussion is going on. What form of federalism that we should have? But one thing very clear, that judiciary is not going to be federalized. Judiciary will be one. There will be one Supreme Court, and there will be high courts or appeal court under the Supreme Court. So province will have nothing to do, and then district courts. So at that regard, there is no confusion now. It's already now worked out. So provincial high court would only be the territorial jurisdiction, but provincial government has nothing to do. The judges will be appointed by the Judicial Council at the center, so that issue is already addressed. So now, there are two schools of thought, is exactly like Madam Yu said. One school of thought said that why don't we have a strong local autonomous government where people can have strong power to development like prefecture in Japan. Others say like why don't we have 6, 7 provinces and give some power to them to do regional development and other, but a strong power. So constitution already has agreed, political party already has agreed that central government will be very powerful government. It will have residuary power. So only some powers constitution will give to province will have the power to the provinces. So if structure of the province is made well, I think there is no more problem. That's what we think. But people want to have provincial government everywhere. They want to make 20 provinces everywhere. I mean, a small government like province. So that's that's an issue, and hopefully we will be able to do that. So judiciary has no problem now. Thank you very much for that question. Any question, please?
Thank you very much for your presentation. So in terms of the federation, so you are planning to have the unified code, so different from US, right? So you just divided administrative power into some provinces. So you will apply to have a unified code, penal code, criminal procedure code, something like that. So that's just administration of each so executive. So can be divided in provinces, is that right?
Yeah. What is the now planning is like judicial structure would be same. So one Supreme Court, and in each province there will be one High Court. But that High Court would not be affected by the provincial government. So that would be directly handled by the Supreme Court. And then in the district, down there will be district court, some other courts, which will be governed by the judicial structure itself, not by the provincial or any government one. And the law that we will be having, two fundamental law like civil code and criminal procedure code and penal code will be same for all nations. Okay, every state police and prosecutor will be prosecuting crimes under the same code, but in their territorial jurisdiction. But maybe each province will have its legislative body and probably will legislate law on civil matters like land, marriage, divorce, then distribution of resources, like nationality issues and other. So these civil matters would be governed by the provincial legislative body. But there will be a civil code, the fundamental law on even civil matters like contract, these kind of issues like the corporations, these kind of things would be governed by broader civil code, and then criminal matter will be governed by the penal code and criminal procedure code. But each state might have some smaller laws concerning forestry, use of forest, like rivers, land, this kind of thing. There can be law made. So that means the power of the federal provinces would be now very small. So that's how already agreed. So I don't think that much problem will be there. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Do you have any other question? 日本語でのご質問も可能ですので、よろしくお願いいたします。
公益社団法人セーブ・ザ・チルドレン・ジャパンという
口でお願いします。
自分ずつに区切ってお願いいたします。
国際協力 NGO で、職員をしております、ソダマツと申します。
My name is Stella Martin from Save the Children Japan International NGO.
今日は大変わかりやすい話をありがとうございました。
Thank you very much for your very clear presentation today.
質問したい点は、現在まだ憲法が出来上がっていませんので、お答えできる範囲、あるいは、先生はおそらくこういうふうになるんじゃないかというふうな、見通しということでも構わないんですが、前の憲法とこれからできる新しい憲法で大きく違ってくるところはどこかというところなんですが、もちろんいろんなところは変わってくると思うんですが、私が聞きたいのは、特にこれまでですね、ネパールの中でなかなか開発あるいは政治のプロセスに参加できなかったカーストの、序列の低い人たち、あるいは少数民族といった人たちが政治・経済プロセスに参加していく、そういったことを保障していくような仕組みというか、権利というか、いうところでの、何らかの考慮というものが、この新しい憲法には前の憲法以上に反映されるのかどうかというところを。
I understand that the new constitution is not finished yet. So please answer my question to the extent possible, or if possible, please share with us your opinion about my question. My question is regarding the biggest differences between the past constitution and the new constitution to be formulated. And what I would like to ask about is the guarantee that will be included in the constitution for caste groups and ethnic groups who have not been able in the past to take part in the country's economic and political processes. So my question is whether the new constitution will consider about such groups more than in the last constitution.
Actually, the existing constitution, this is the existing, the constitution right now, which is called interim constitution. Interim constitution already guarantees a special rights for ethnic groups.
すみません、回答の通訳は、同時で行いますので、ヘッドセットをお付けいただければと思います。日本語でお伝えしたい方。
Then there are some special reservation already. For example, people from very different ethnic groups for their employment in the government, civil employment. Now, reservation is something like 45 and 55. Okay, out of 45, in 55, everybody can contest. But in 45, like there are special quotas for untouchable community, indigenous group, people from southern Madras, women, and various small minorities. So that's already implemented, one. In the new constitution, in the coming constitution, these issues have been already agreed upon and in the fundamental rights. But now question is the debate whether this quota given to ethnic groups and some small groups will enhance their capacity, will make them confined, and then will just they will be confined with these quotas and then excluded from the broader competition. Will these quotas will have a negative impact in their development or not? So some intellectuals from ethnic minority and like untouchable groups, on also like women, there we started arguing, is this morality good? Because in India, they have divided scheduled caste, backward class, and other. So people always become scheduled caste and backward class because it's in constitution. People are called backward class and scheduled class. So what in Nepal there is a debate is that we should not go for that model. Rather, we have to destroy the caste system. We have to destroy this discrimination. And we have to, for the time being, we have to give a lot of development, socio-economic development measures. But then we should not go for this quota system, which in India has already become a big problem. And in the quota system, it is not the poor, Dalit, poor, untouchable community is having privilege, but it's the rich Dalit is making. Therefore, this issue is still undebatable. But in Nepal, what I see is like the practice of untouchability is breaking very rapidly. It's breaking very rapidly. I don't have problem. Only my fathers and my grandfathers probably have problem. But my generation does not have problem. So people talk about untouchability practice. In the rural part of the villages, still some problem is there. But in cities, I don't see this. And in my college, this is very world problem actually. The children from different castes sitting together and they are falling in love. And then they are married, so it's not a problem. So situation in India and Nepal is different. Because historically, the problem of untouchability in Nepal is not a religious problem, it's a social problem. Because Hindu and Buddhist community, Hindu and Buddhists are discriminating against Hindus and Buddhists. So it is within the religious group. But in India, untouchability largely is a problem of Hindus and non-Hindus. So many people make a mistake like the problem of untouchability in India and Nepal is same. But ours is a intersectional untouchability, intrasection untouchability, whereas in India it is an intersection untouchability. So I think there will be some reservation for some time, but we are not definitely in a mood of making all these people who have been in the caste division in the past as a scheduled caste and permanently make them scheduled caste for another 200 years. No, we are not going to that model.
ありがとうございました。で、ちょっと次のようなありますね。これ解説させていただきますと。
I'm sorry, and thank you very much for your answer. I need to go to another meeting, so please excuse me at this moment.
他に何かご質問ございますでしょうか。日本語でも英語でも。
先ほどから日本語で下手な英語でやるよ日本語皆さん分かります。サングローラ先生から私の名前が何回かメンションされました。お礼とそれからコメントとそれから質問を前の大将としていただいて私がカトマンズを離れてちょうど1年くらいになりますのであるいは私の認識が間違っているかもしれませんが今日は先生が非常に嬉しいことを言っていただいて日本の援助がもっと必要であるということを本当にありがたいでそういうことを言っていただいたのであえてコメントを申し上げますと
特に知的な分野での支援という意味では、すでにご承知のように、法務省から直接、いろんな支援をいただいているほか、あるいは JICA を通じて、支援を行っています。
Thank you very much, Dr. Sangroula. And you mentioned my name several times during your speech. My name is Takahashi, and I used to be the ambassador to Nepal. And I would first like to voice some words of gratitude, and then a comment, and then finally one question. It has been 1 year since I left Nepal, so my understanding may be a little different. So please correct me if I am wrong. Well, first of all, I am very happy to hear that Nepal would like more assistance from Japan. That is very good to hear, and I would like to make one comment regarding the Japanese assistance to Nepal. Currently, especially for the intellectual assistance, the Ministry of Justice as well as JICA has been providing some assistance.
例えば、もう少し JICA のことに触れますと、国づくり支援、ネーションビルディングサポートプロジェクトとかですね、あるいは民法典の、制定ですね、これはドラフティングニューシビルコードというような支援も行っております。
As for JICA, they have been providing nation building support project as well as assistance in drafting the new civil code.
先ほど研修所の方からもお話があったんですが、もしですね、ネパール側に刑事法の分野でもっと日本の支援が欲しいということであれば、そのご要望に全て 100% 答えられるかどうか、あるいは時間がかかるかもしれませんけど、ぜひですね、ネパール側の方から日本にこういう支援をしてほしいという積極的なリクエストを出していただければと思います。
So Director Akane mentioned some points, but regarding the Nepal criminal justice system, if there are any assistance that Japan can provide in terms of intellectual assistance, I'm not sure whether we can provide 100% of what you request, or whether it will take some time or not. But I would like to ask you to make a proactive request to Japan regarding what kind of assistance is needed.
と言いますのは、日本の今援助の流れが、かつてのような橋を作るとか道路を作る、これはもちろん今でもやってますけども、それとともに知的な分野での支援ということにも重視するという大きな流れがありますので、ぜひご遠慮なくですね、カトマンズにあります大使館、日本大使館なり JICA 事務所にご相談いただければ。私、今晩たまたま今帰国中の JICA 事務所の所長にも会いますので、彼にもちゃんと言っておきます。
The Japanese trend for assistance has been changing from infrastructure such as roads building or bridge building. Of course, we still have that, but more toward intellectual assistance. So please do not hesitate to talk to the Japanese ambassador in Kathmandu or to the JICA office. Actually, I have an opportunity to speak to the JICA director tonight, so I will also mention it to him tonight.
その上で長くなりました私の質問でございます。これもし私の質問が失礼に当たったらすればご容赦願いたいんですが、実は、先ほどドクターが挙げていただきました今残っている3つの問題、ナンバーブルフォービンス、州の数ですね、それからあと大統領選にするのか、議員内閣制にするのか、あるいは、選挙の方法をどうするか、この3つの問題というのは実は、2011年前回の最初のコンスティテューショナルアセンブリーの最後の段階でやっぱり残った問題であります。
So going on to my question, I hope that you will not find my question offensive, and I apologize if you do. But the 3 points that the doctor mentioned, that is still to be resolved by the Constitutional Assembly. That is first the number of provinces. The second, the type of whether to go for presidential or parliamentary system, and the third, the type of election system. These are issues that were left over by the previous Constitutional Assembly?
実は私たちも2011年の時にはですね、ぜひ、2012年ですが、5月にぜひですね、この問題を解決して新しい憲法ができるようにという、応援をしたんですけども、残念ながらできませんでした。で、その時にやっぱり最大の原因は各政党がそれぞれの主張を曲げなかった、妥協がうまくできなかったと思うんですが、果たして今回はその前回の失敗から各政党のリーダーの方々は何か学んだのか、この辺をなかなか難しい質問だと思うんですが、ドクター・サングローラーさんの見立てというか見通しを聞かせていただけると思います。政治に関わる問題なので、そんな簡単な問題じゃないことが分かる。以上でございます。
So back in 2012 May, we also tried to provide support so that these three issues could be resolved. However, the previous Constitutional Assembly could not reach an agreement. And the reason I believe that they failed is because the political leaders of the political parties at that time could not reach a consensus. They could not make any compromise. So my question is whether do you think that the political leaders have learned from the past failure and whether they will be able to reach a consensus this time? I understand that this is a political issue and may be difficult to answer, but I would like to listen to your views on this matter.
Thank you, Your Excellency. These are actually very big questions which we still need to work. But what is very positive sign I see is that most of the issues discussed and agreed by the previous Constituent Assembly have been now adopted and drafted. So three issues basically were left, and this committee was therefore made. This dispute resolution committee was made, which is now headed by former Prime Minister Mr. Baburam Bhattarai. And in this committee are all big leaders like the Prime Minister and then all the three big leaders of Nepali Congress, three big leaders of CP and UML, and also other big leaders are there. So I think they started this issue rightly. Few weeks before, they distributed to the members, to the leaders, what they agreed in the last CA in that one resort, 11 province model. But after they agreed, after a few days, there was a big problem and then they could not work. So now that model is issued to all leaders, not to have the same model apply, but to make it a reference material to start discussion. One thing. Second thing, what they decided was like, each party will have bilateral talk and then group. So CP and UML and Maoist, CP and Maoist and Congress. So this is how they will finish one round of talk, 3 parties, 4 parties, and 2 parties, and they will create a small report, and they will start discussion on the bigger report. One, it's also very methodological. CPN Maoist leader Prachanda repeatedly said in the past that now they are not going to ethnic-based federalism, which they actually proposed in the past. That means there is a now consensus. Some consensus is like there should be a federal structure. This should not be powerful than the central government. Development should be the major issue. These all parties have now agreed. And I think if they start discussing in a good method like that, they will make it. So that's what I am positive. Just before I came, I had a chance to meet with all of these leaders in one program, we were invited to, like this Indian government had proposed this hydroelectricity agreement. So they wanted us to discuss. So 5, 6 of us, we were invited by all the political parties in Singapore. We asked, like, do you think that you will make the constitution? So everybody said that no, we're making progress. So they were quite happy with that. So I think, I believe it. So they will go. It would not be a problem, probably federal structure would not be a much problem now. Electoral process would also not be a big problem. I see problem on form of government, presidential or parliamentary. And this is very politically interested because what Prachanda and some other leaders think that if it is presidential, they will become president. It's a better chance for them. Nepali Congress do not have that kind of very high profile young leader, therefore they rather want to go to the parliamentary. So it's a short vision and short objective kind of thing they have been working with. So I think more problem in form of government rather than federal structure. So let's see, but I'm still hopeful. There is no other option. If we do not make constitution, we will fail. So I am a bit positive by the speech of Indian Prime Minister a few weeks before in Nepal that we made a mistake in the past. He was a very, he was very candid and he confessed. Like, we made a mistake in the past. By dealing Nepal by our bureaucracy, we will stop doing it. So we will deal Nepal politically. So I will have a talk with the Prime Minister and leader directly. I will not be dealing Nepal politics by ambassador. Was its very blunt speech. So that means India now understand it is not good for India to have one party to one party relation and one leader in one party relation. So that is counterproductive to India. That's what they understand. I think that is a good thing. And his second speech in Indian Independence Day, that he spoke about 10 minutes about Nepal. Exactly what I said some point before, that Nepal, a small country, gave a good message of peace by negotiating themselves where India has not been able to address the same Naxalist problem. But Nepal negotiated, and now they are, who were fighting in the past are now in the Constituent Assembly debating for the Constitution. So we should learn from Nepal, was his another speech. So also in counter, like there was a speech from China, very senior leader who came to Nepal also. Like, we are now not mingling ourselves with Nepalese politics, so it is your job to do, but we will support. So they understand in the past by getting them in the Nepalese politics, both of them lost. That's what I believe. So they will not be much having problem. But it's necessary for us to create a more positive environment, one thing. So I'm a little bit helpful for that. So we have but not options. And we have to make the constitution. Concerning what probably we can learn from Japan in criminal justice. Yes, I know, JICA has been doing a very important job for helping the civil code drafted, and I have been in meeting with a lot of time, Mr. Hiraya, who came to me a lot of time, and then we talked, and then they've been doing very good. It's quite nice that over the last 5-10 years, Japan started, working much on these kind of issues, and it's just important. It's important because Japan also has its a lot in the social science and intellectual perspectives too. With regard to criminal justice system, that I have one agenda. When I was Attorney General, and then I met with Professor Morinaga, I said same thing. And then last time when Professor Hiroshi was there, same thing. And even today I'm saying the same thing. the same thing, what that is like. We have had inquisitorial or different kind of justice system that didn't work well. We brought adversarial, Anglo-American based adversarial system that is failing. And I was talking just before here, my intro, I was talking to Professor Morena here. Like, when American assistance comes from criminal justice system, they always emphasize police role. When Scandinavian assistance in criminal justice comes, they always emphasize judiciary. When British assistance comes from criminal justice system, they always talk of, again, like American, the police. When I became an attorney general, many ambassadors even did not know that there was a position called attorney general. Nobody knew that. And I called attorney general, the ambassadors from different countries, and said that this is a prosecuting office. If it does not prosecute, criminal justice system doesn't take place. So this is what the Constitution. The right is given to the attorney general. So this is a vital institution. Government is ignoring this institution, and the donor agencies and everybody is ignoring. Even in the curriculum of law colleges, judiciary is taught, defense lawyer is taught, but attorney general is not taught. So I thought bringing prosecution office in very high profile, because prosecution handles the judiciary, prosecution handles the police. That's why my theory is that prosecutors generate output through police and brings it as its input and takes it to the court. So it's a glue. So in machinery, in an engine language, it is called water, and there is a rubber in between two pistons. So that piston is a rubber, therefore two metals do not collide. So that's what the police system is, peace and security agency. Judiciary is a judgment delivery institution, and this is the prosecution. Is connecting these two institutions. Therefore, Japan has 99.8% success rate. Pakistan has 10% success rate. Bangladesh has 10% success rate. India 27%. China 78%. Nepal 79%. So even our justice system is not doing well, but it is doing better than China and India. Why? The reason is that over the last 5 or 6 years, we have been emphasizing attorney general and prosecutors' role very strongly. So prosecutors have started feeling accountability. So I still sometimes make a fun with my prosecutor friends. You kill mosquitoes, right? I tell them, I make a joke to them. So police is always proud of its institution. Judiciary is always proud of its institution. Prosecutors, this is investigation and prosecution. It's not my job. Investigation, police job, delivery, judgment delivery, court, I am nowhere. My job is to kill the mosquitoes. No. Actually, we have to be very strong. So I think Japan should bring more technology for Attorney General office so that they can be able to detect how evidences are produced in the right way or not. The technical skills to prosecute. If it is possible, it's always my quest, it's my choice, my dream. What happens is, like Nepal is a country with terrible geography. We cannot have 75 forensic laboratories established in different parts. If we can have a very nice microbus, like equipped with forensic technologies, equipments, and if there is a terrible crime in Chiton, this car will go to Chiton with an expert, does every investigation comes back to the Attorney General office. If there is a crime in Harding, it goes. So if we can provide 2, 3 this kind of mobile vehicle with forensic service, a lot of problems will be addressed. That's what I say. This is what I think Japan can very, JICA can very perfectly support what UNFAI is doing a great job. I think this comparative study of Nepal, Japan, criminal justice system should continue for another few years. And I've been requesting Professor Morinaga and Madam Director, let's have a little bit bigger conference to understand our insights. Because both of our systems have formal structure and informal practice. This informal practice, for example, Japanese police, as I know, encourages suspects to confess. Not bracing, but pursuing, like if you confess, it will be good for you. Like if you do good confessions, you have committed a crime against victim and victim will get justice also. So it's a persuasion. I think that is what is informal system we should worship. We should definitely, we should not believe altogether in confession and interrogation. But I think Americans address this problem by Miranda rules, but I don't know how informal system can exactly apply it. So we can think some other system, that's what I'm thinking. So I don't know right now what is good or bad, but Nepalese intellectuals and Nepalese prosecutors can develop a lot of ideas by discussing with Japanese prosecutors and intellectuals. So that's how debate and dialogue is very important. And also this kind of training that right now, many people are there, they're quite enthusiastic. I've been taking their examination every day. Every day I'm asking, what did you learn today? They're a little bit embarrassed, but I'm encouraging them. So my being 10 days here, I'm every day encouraging them, please, do it, no. That's how I think we can develop. So more close visits, association, discussion. One very important project that I've been suggesting is that let's make a book together describing what is the insights of Japanese investigation, how investigation takes place, what is the law, how police works, how prosecutor helps. We can do same in Nepal. So then we can publish one book, Nepal, Japan, prosecution, investigation, and adjudication, and we will find out where are the gaps. Then we can bring more technology, more idea from Japan to improve our situation. And where we already are doing good, then this is already good. So this is how I think we can do. That's what I've been talking, more brain, less money. Because in the past we always ask for more money, less brain, and money did not work much. So that's why we have to change this strategy. So more engagement and dialogue is, that's what my concept. So this has been arguing for last 1 year, almost 2 years, persistently, every time I'm meeting, I'm having a meeting, this is, I'm arguing every time. So this is, and I'm going to do it for a time. Thank you.
My next question is very simple, but unique and a little bit difficult to translate. So maybe I'd like to explain in Japanese first, and after that I'd like to ask a question in English. 私は刑事法を専攻しているもので、同時に被害者学というのを勉強していることもありまして、日本ではほとんど議論されることもありませんし、関心を持たれていませんけれども、諸外国では憲法を制定するときに、もしくは全面改正するときに、被害者、犯罪被害者の権利規定を憲法の中に入れるということをやっている国がいくつかありまして、アジアでは韓国とタイが タイは当然ながら起きるたびに憲法が提出されて改正されるので、またちょっと今度どうなるかわからないんですけれども、そういうことがありますので、特に今日のサングローラ先生は検察庁でもありまして、刑事を専攻されているので、その被害者の権利ということについて、どういうお考えか、いろいろお考えあると思うんですけど、果たしてそのネパールの憲法で、そういった犯罪被害者の権利というものを被疑者、被告人、受刑者の権利保障とともに規定される予定があるのかどうかというのをぜひ被害者学者としてもちょっと聞いていきたいので、質問していきたいと思います。So I have a question regarding the victim of rights, victim charter in the draft of new constitution. So only a few countries succeeded in put the provision of victim charter or the rights of victims in the new constitution. But some countries like Thailand amended the constitution in 1997. At the time, the Thai government succeeded in the put victim charter in the new constitution because the constitution was amended after the tragic, disastrous instance in Thailand, in Bangkok. So I'm wondering, and I really hope that. And so, how about your constitution? So your constitution will have the provision on victim charter or rights of victims in that. So that's my question.
Thank you. Actually, this is a very, very important question, and it's a lot of debate going on in Nepal. Sometimes even between institutions, and the court, the Supreme Court of Nepal have already made, I think, 9, 10 very important judgments, highlighting that you cannot bypass or you cannot ignore the right of victims. So there is instructions given by the Supreme Court to take care of this kind of thing, and in some cases very directly intervened by the court. It's one way. Other way, like there are different organizations advocating for victims' rights. And what is their big concern is like, since victims' concerns are not addressed, impunity is a serious problem in Nepal, is another issue. Yes, to be very precise, already the victim of sexual offenses, victims of some conventional crimes, other have been very precisely addressed in the Constitution. So they will have a right to have lawyer, they would have a right to ask for compensation, they will have a stake in the proceeding, that's there. So there is the state is empowered by the Constitution, agreed to have a special law made for that. Victims of traffickings, victims of sexual violence, even victims of untouchability caste system can have this. But victims of state-involved violation of human rights, like disappearance, extrajudicial killing, these kind of things is still silent. So there is a strong voice people are making that this issue needs to be addressed. Right now there is a law passed few months before on this is Truth Commission's Act. I mean, to look into the violation of human rights in the past in the conflict situation. But that is also still having controversies. So debate. So as you rightly pointed out, these rights needs to be addressed. But still, people have not been able to develop consensus. Like everybody had their voice, and then who prevails? Sometimes this group prevails, and other time other. So it's a situation of confusion. I guess this present constitution would not be totally successful to address these victims' perspectives somehow, but it will definitely make some room that later on, by making laws by the parliament, a lot of issues can be addressed. So that is one thing very important. So victim charges issue is at least debated, at least discussed, different dimensions and other. right, relating to that, some other very important issues is like, again, if we do not have a very good structure of criminal justice system developed, actually victim rights would not be protected. So even if we have a very good human rights, fundamental rights protected by the Constitution and laws, if this is the current scene of criminal justice system in Nepal, like the institutional egos, and then less use of science and forensic technology, more use of confession interrogation, and reliance on very orthodox methods of creating big documents, long controversial statements kind of thing continues, I think victims' rights should not be protected. So one jurisprudence is very clear in Nepal now. One, when a crime takes place, there are two deprivations. One, I am killed, support. The state will catch the criminal, put into jail, fine. So state concern is addressed. But then I was the only member of the family. My children will suffer. Who, they look for the justice. So the state also failed. State failed providing security so that I'm killed. So state has to pay. So compensation should be there. So we are fighting for that. Like, if I am killed, whoever killed me is a matter of concern for next year. But if I am killed, state failed. Because state failed to provide my security. So state has to protect my family now. State has to give some compensation to me, my family. My children's education should not be affected. That is the state responsibility. Okay? Then state will have to find out the criminal, put into jail. So there are two aspects. So if we don't talk this that way, then we will not develop criminal justice system. I'm quite happy for this. Judiciary of Nepal is taking a strong lead in this debate. So they have done a great job. They have been passing a lot of judgments. I have no hesitation. My institution, prosecution, is still lagging behind in this than the judiciary. One of the reasons might be that all good people in the judiciary have gone from prosecution office also. So sometimes I say that you take all the good people to judiciary and then how can this institution can run? But others, they are remaining in the office, are also very caliber officers, but they are more in this restricted manual type of works like collecting evidence from police, writing charge sheet and going to the court. So proactivism is more in judiciary than in prosecution office. So I think it's because of the judicial proactivism in victims' right, we will be able to develop in the days to come. We are not in a very good set now, but we are looking for that. That means it's a good thing. That's what I have to say. Thank you.
Well, thank you for your presentation, and a little bit to introduce myself. My name is Wataru Hashimoto, and I study law and development on my university with my professor, and the country I chose was Nepal. And my question, I have two questions, and the first is about history, and I think like there was a law book which like a civil law and civil procedural law and criminal law is all included in the one book, something like a blue I'm sure about it, but and I think it was I think that book existed 150 years or something, and I think like it's hard to change it because it's had a long history. So could you like tell me what was the turning point to like make a new law system? And the second question is about education, and I was happy to hear that like the discrimination is being solved rapidly, but I heard that like some of the non-touchable people can't go to the elementary school because like they are so poor, so they have to work for their family and like for the agriculture thing. And when I studied, like it said that the kids graduated the university school is only 45% or 50% and like that. So is it like change it or like is it improve it or something? Yeah, and that's all.
Thank you. It's a very good question too. And with regard to this Muluki Ain, the civil code, people are now ready to change that. So therefore, like the JICA supported for this civil part, and it's still discussion is there, but it still has not gone to the parliament. But criminal procedure code and penal code had been taken to the parliament when I was the Attorney General, and I pushed a lot. But unfortunately, they were being debated, the Constituent Assembly dissolved, also Parliament dissolved with that, so it's technically everything came back. So just before I came, this is one of my effort that I'm always working in. So I talked to the law minister and also some other concerned people to bring this back to the parliament again. And there is a committee. There is a committee headed by the Supreme Court judge. So I also had a talk with them, like this is the right time for us to do. So I think this criminal procedure code will be coming to the parliament after this festival. With regard to civil code, I think it needs more discussion at the government level, and it will come. So when this passed, I think Muluki and everybody is ready to give it up now, because it's too old and mostly copied from in the criminal part from Napoleon Code, and in civil part most Hindu-based scriptures, which are not very good for integrated system. With regard to untouchability and children going to school, in many rural parts, yes, but it's not only the children from untouchable community, but also every poor family. They go for 2 or 3 months, then they have to look after animals, and then they drop. So government is doing like giving food, giving snacks, also giving money. Even dresses have been given. But their parents are still not educated, so still they don't understand the importance of education. So all children have been enrolled, but after a few months they drop. So this is a perennial problem in the very rural part of the country, especially in the hills, remote areas. But that's not a problem of only untouchable people, that's a problem of each poor family. So I think education is now being not tainted by the problem of caste system. That's what I can very frankly say. Like in medical education, number of quotas have been given for those children who passed matriculation for going to the medical education. There's not a lot of doctors coming out. Now again, problems. These are the quota fixed for the untouchable community, so every year goes. But who goes to this quota? Again, that boy or the girl who are educated in the rural high school do not have good English, do not have good background of education, they simply pass with the low grade. All the rich Dalit people who live in city, who children go to the very high grade private schools or the government school, but with good education. So these quotas have been taken by the rich Dalit, not the rural poor Dalit. So question is, caste system is addressed, but class system within the untouchable people becoming a very serious problem too. So therefore, we should not adopt one policy. I mean, we should have a multi-policy to address this problem. Socio-economic development and many other policies together. It's an issue of good governance. It's an issue of democracy. It's an issue of economic development. It's an issue of social transformation. It's an issue of psychology also psychology. So this needs to be addressed from a multiple perspective. That's what I think. I should say that situation has changed, but as you pointed out, problem is still there. Problem is still there. So it takes, but everything will put into right set once we have a constitution and very stable government, elected government under the new constitution, because that government will be a very vibrant government. For example, I was looking answer for one question, like why some country develops so rapidly. So I had a book reading yesterday in my iPad. So from 1895 to 1795 to 1805, France transformed from one type of France to another type of France, because they had Napoleon. Napoleon was a dictator, yes, but he was a trust of people. So every time what the French people thought that if there was a war, they believed that, oh, we have Napoleon. If there was a seat building, they thought that, okay, it's because of Napoleon. Everything. So if you have a vibrant leader, people come out with a high spirit and make development. Maybe I have to study more deeper in Japan. Were that kind of leaders in Japan? Therefore, Japan made such a quick development after 1945? I don't know. I have not much knowledge about Japan's political history. But if you see, I mean, vibrant leadership, whatever politics it has, transform the country. But see, in my country, what is happening now is like, Prime Minister is sick all the time in the hospital. Opposition leader, all the time, he's sick, he's in the hospital. It's all the time, I mean, either it's Singapore or India treating. Coming and next week going again. So all leaders who have been occupying this position, they are old generation leaders. They are honest, I should say. They're honest, but they just think that, okay, our responsibility is to make the constitution and hand over it to the young generation. So they are not thinking liberal. They're just thinking transformation in politics. So hopefully when we will have a constitution, the new election will be able to select some vibrant leaders, and they will take. So after 10 years, I think Nepal will be changed, but there is no option but Nepal to change, because China and India, they are competing in economy. Even something is space, that falls in Nepal. So therefore, if China and India develops economically, we should follow to develop. So until and unless we do not develop economically, this problem of the rural poverty cannot be addressed. So I think we have to take social and economic development together. That's what I believe.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sangroula. Yes. Unfortunately, time has come. So I'm confident that today's discussion contributes